there are much more challenges. How should we as people who want to relate with the Prophet, should we become arrogant? Should we behave as others did? Should we doubt as others doubted? There's a difference between doubting and investigating and analyzing and learning. Surely we should learn, we should investigate, we should try to analyze. But we cannot doubt something when we have no reason and no evidence that will make us doubt it. This message of the Prophet was not his. It was the message of Allah. And for us to go with today, what we need to remember, in chapter 14, verse 1, he was told very clearly what was his mission. His mission was to salvage a wrecked society, was to resurrect the dead of the Arabs, and through them the world. The Qur'an told him, Kitabun unzila ilayk. It's a revelation, not a storytelling book. Kitabun unzila ilayk لتخرج الناس من الظلمات. إخراج بالعربية means to take out, to extricate, to dig out. His job was to take his community, those human beings who would want to accept, who want to save themselves from all manner of dhulumat, إلى النور بإذن ربهم إلى صراط العزيز الحميد. To what? To that upright, mighty, magnificent path. So the Prophet had a big job. Up against the politicians of Arabia, up against the economic giants of Arabia, up against the religious leaders of Arabia, up against the cultural superiors of Arabia, he had to stand up and battle this. I leave this with myself and for you, for reflection, knowing that this was an outstanding messenger. Let us don't take him too lightly. Let us get ourselves in the act, make time, make arrangements for our sake and our family's sake, to say the least, to start learning about him. Not the story tales that we see in books. Let's go back to the Qur'an and learn the message that if you can teach it to your children, you know what you will do? You will build mighty people. Today what's missing in the Muslim homes is the kind of mothers and the kind of fathers who can build heroes. What's missing in the Muslim home? The kind of mothers and kind of fathers who can build heroes, not who can build physical images of the Prophet. That will not help anybody. Astaghfirullah li wa lakum wa lil mu'minina wal mu'minat fastaghfiruhu innahu huwal ghafurur rahim. In conclusion, last week I reminded myself and you that there was a mighty verse that Allah told the Prophet and the world about. He told us, وَإِنَّكَ لَعَلَى خُلُقٍ عَظِيمٍ. You, O Prophet, you had no ordinary character. You had a mighty character. These are not words for us to sing and make poetry and feel proud. We are the enemies of the Prophet. If we read these, we hear about these, but we have no room in our lives to put that inside. How would you react if you hear somebody say a lot of nonsense about the Prophet? Well, I'll tell you, wake up. The Muslims need to be purged and cleansed, because they say, they read, they recite, they sing a lot of nonsense about the Prophet. And I'll give you one of them to think about. I grew up in a society, it was in the West, and there were a set of people where singing praises about the Prophet was a pastime, glorious pastime. They call it Milad, and they still have it. It's full in Pakistan, full in Bangladesh, full in Sri Lanka. It's rampant in the Caribbean, even here in Canada and North America. And I'm not saying all the things that people sing are bad, but there was a special stanza. They would say to the people in the gathering, get up and stand up physically, because the King of all kings, the Prophet, is now coming into the gathering. And what they did, they have no shame to say that the Prophet is Hadir and Nadir. يعني أنه قد حضر جلساتهم. He presents himself at all their gatherings. And I was a young man and I asked the question, how can the Prophet be in 10, 20 gatherings all at the same time? And I was told, you don't know, he has special power. And if you think that was, hear this one. They tell the uneducated Muslims who are like 99% in the world, they tell them every Friday, starting from Thursday night, that's how Muslims calculate, all the deeds of the Muslims who are alive are presented in a platter to the Prophet in the grave. The Prophet goes through it, review it, what is not up to standard he throws away, and the rest he sends to Allah. You can imagine what people have said about this Prophet. The problem is they don't say the right things. They don't say the good things. If they had really believed in this Prophet, Muslims would not have been the living dead they are. I leave this with you and me, because there's a lot of expressions of love for this Prophet. We seem to be mad about people who wrote things that are not so nice about this Prophet. We need to clean our own house first, before trying to clean somebody else's house. We ask Allah to bless the memory of all the prophets, of all the messengers. And we ask Him for life. And I ask you and remind myself, let us do the things to enhance life. Life is beautiful. There's so many great things to do, to experience, and to bequeath to others if you have life. Life doesn't mean to exist. It means the ability to prosper, to grow, to rise, to free yourself, to be empowered, and to make a difference in human society positively. Let us turn it somewhere.